Welcome to our movie about making easy, no-knead artisan bread. We started refining the recipe and technique in 2007 after Uncle Roald showed us a YouTube movie and told us he makes his own bread this way in Juneau, Alaska. Here is our recipe. Our favorite loaf also includes 1 cup of raw sunflower seeds. Feel free to experiment with different flour combinations. The recipe is very forgiving. Relax, have fun. The bread usually turns out a little differently each time, which keeps it interesting for the baker and the eater. Just remember that some flours, like rye and spelt, don't have much gluten, so won't contribute to the bread's structure. You can also add raisins, nuts, minced rosemary, etc. to the dry ingredients. Now heat the water in a microwave oven. Room temperature, 70 degrees, is best, but no hotter than 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Pour the water into the dry ingredients in the bowl and mix vigorously. This stirring is essential to start forming the gluten strands and to jumpstart the yeast. Cover the bowl and let rise. Ideally, mix the dough 12 to 18 hours before you want to bake it. If you mix it in the evening, it will rise overnight. Or mix it in the morning and let it rise while you're at work all day, then bake it in the evening. As the dough rises, it will try to climb out of the bowl. The next morning you can stir it down and let it rise again, or you can stir it down and get it ready to bake. Our best results are from a single rise, stir it down, transfer, and bake. Vigorously stir down the dough. Once is enough, but if you can't bake it right away, stirring it down, up to 3 times, will buy you time. You can also cover and place the bowl in the refrigerator to buy more time. To bake the bread, you'll need a heavy-duty pot like this with a lid. This Dutch oven is approved to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to the big bowl in which the dough is rising, you'll need a third vessel, which can be a bowl, pot, or something like this. No lid is needed, and it does not need to be oven-proof. Now the dough has risen and been stirred down 1 or more times. If you refrigerated the dough, let it warm to room temperature before continuing. Make sure your schedule is clear for the next 2 hours. It's time to bake the bread. Place parchment paper, and don't skip this step, in the third vessel. If your parchment paper is narrow like this, use 2 pieces perpendicular to each other. My favorite is made by Reynolds and available at Target. Pour, scrape, or plop the dough into the third vessel lined with parchment paper. Some dough is thinner than others, depending on the flours used. Let the dough rise again for 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the warmth of the room and the vigor of your yeast. You want good volume, but not so much that the gluten strands break while baking. After the dough has risen about 30 minutes, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. But first, place your lidded heavy-duty vessel on a cookie sheet in the oven. Correct baking temperature is crucial, so use an oven thermometer. When the oven is preheated to 450 degrees, remove the lid and place on a heat-proof surface. Be careful, the pot and lid are very hot. And don't forget the cookie sheet. Your dough will burn on the bottom if you don't have a cookie sheet. Grab the corners of the parchment paper and lift the dough out of vessel number 3 and lower it into the hot Dutch oven. Again, be careful, the pot is very, very hot. Return the hot lid to the pot, slide in the rack, and close the oven door. Set your timer for 40 minutes. When the timer buzzes, take the lid off and place it on a heat-proof surface. Close your oven door and set your timer for another 20 minutes. Use a piece of foil on top of the loaf if it is browning too fast. When time is up, remove the pan from the oven and place on a cooling rack. Careful, the pot is hot. Grab the corners of the parchment paper, remove the bread from the Dutch oven, and place on cooling rack number 2. Slowly and carefully peel the parchment paper off of the loaf. We've reused parchment paper up to 3 times. When it develops a hole or tear, you can use it for other purposes, like roasting vegetables. Let the bread cool completely before slicing it with a very long, sharp, serrated knife. During the first day or 2, we just place it cut side down on a cutting board. That keeps the crust a little crustier. After that, you can put it in a sturdy plastic bag and refrigerate the bread or freeze it. Delicious results every time. Crusty on the outside, moist, chewy, and flavorful on the inside. Now you can make your own bread too.